Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon as well, I should say. We've got people here dialing in from the USA, from Canada, from Germany, from the United Kingdom, from France as well, and I believe also potentially some coming in from Latin America too. So thank you all so much for joining us. A really important subject we've got today. I've got this beautiful image up here of these beautiful, delicious peaches. And of course, the subject today is what it takes to become a core consultant. And core, we're going to get into the definition of that in just a little bit. Um, this is, I think, a really essential point that we want to consider in order to build our businesses and not just be successful in our own efforts, but really, of course, learn how to get that duplication going within our organizations. So, I want to use this metaphor today of the peach. You can see in this beautiful diagram of the peach here that there are three essential layers. You've got the skin. The skin is an outer layer. It provides a basic element of nutrition, perhaps. It's not a basic layer of protection to the fruit, but it's not, of course, what we want the fruit for. We often want it for the flesh, don't we? And that's the central piece there, that the majority of the fruit there is the flesh. That's the tasty bit, the good stuff. That's the bit that we want. But of course, that's not the whole thing either. At the center of the fruit, which is where the greatest layer of protection is the core. You've got this outer layer of the core, which is designed to be tough and sturdy to protect the seed that lies within it. And of course, the seed at the center of the fruit ensures that we don't just enjoy that fruit, but that we enjoy many fruits like it season after season after season. We want to make sure, of course, that seed gets spread and planted, but also protected. I use this metaphor and this analogy for an important reason today. And that is, I think there are three different layers to our business, to being a Nikken consultant. The outer layer, the skin, if you will, that gives some basic nutrition to your business and some basic protection to your activity, is being a quality enrollment. We know a quality enrollment is defined as doing 500 points worth of retail sales in a calendar month. This is an important bedrock activity. But of course, it's not what you join the business for. It's not the fleshy, tasty, good stuff that we want. That piece there is a little deeper than quality enrollments. That piece there is what we've defined as the Nikken plan, the teach three to reach three. The fruits of doing that are the good stuff, the tasty bits, the bits that we want to have all the time. And if I use this example here, we've seen this on a number of different presentations before. I'm not going to go into detail on this slide today, but I use it as an example of what the fleshy good stuff, the fruity bit of our business is all about. We can see that as we work between that hot zone, as Rick Murphy defines it, between 500 and 1,500 points of retail sales a month, but critically teaching others to do the same, that we can generate up to almost $2,000 a month in repeat business as a result of that activity. That's the tasty bit, isn't it? That's the stuff that tastes good. That's the bit that we want to have happening all the time. But of course, just going back, I'll go back again, sorry. Going back to this analogy here of the fruit, that isn't necessarily the core. That's the stuff that we want to reap the reward from. That's the fruit. But the core is the bit that we do that gets duplication happening. I want to point out something here that is interesting. And I know that there are many on the call today that have perhaps reached out to do this quality enrollment activity, perhaps have reached out to do the teach three to reach three and have had some success with it. But maybe you felt that there is something missing. Maybe there is something that they haven't quite found that is getting that duplication going. I wonder if you can relate to that. I want to share with you what I believe lies at the core of the Nikken business and making sure that we are profitable, that we don't just get some good fruit in a month, but that we get it month after month after month. Is there something there that we can do that will protect and nurture that core piece that leads to duplication? Well, I'm pleased to say the answer is yes. Now, keep in mind, the core of the fruit is the most protected part of the fruit, and it's where the germ of duplication resides. That being the case, let's look at what the germ of duplication could be in our Niken business, that if we can protect this, nurture it, look after it, take care of it, that it can go on to help us to fulfill and achieve this Teach 3 to Reach 3 model month after month, and also just help people do the quality enrollment month after month after month as well. You'll notice on the left-hand side of this tree, there are three things that are all related to each other, three behaviors: to listen, to read, and to watch. These three behaviors here, to listen to a Niken audio, maybe that might be a podcast from an expert speaker, a professional, someone with experience, someone that's seasoned, that's got business experience, Niken experience, network marketing experience, something that can inspire the mind and invigorate the heart. To read for at least 15 minutes a day from a recommended library, again, to nurture the mind, or to watch as well a live or recorded webinar, again, to stay connected to what we're doing. You'll note, those of you that are participating in the I CAN program, that this is one of the fundamental behaviors that is taught there, this repetition of positive affirmations on a daily basis. The critical principle that's being taught there, which is so valuable for all of us, is a need to protect and shield our hearts and minds, and also to nurture and feed them in a way that can keep us focused and on track. The reality is, with anything in life, there is adversity, there is opposition, there are obstacles in the road, and there are paths that take us off from the course that we're on that we need to be mindful of. So it's really, really important that we don't just understand the fundamental, practical processes involved in building the business, but critically, at the heart of this, we need to protect our mind and heart, but also inspire it. I believe as we look at the network marketing industry, we've always said, haven't we, that in this industry, what is so important is having that excitement and enthusiasm to get out there and to run and to build. This business is built on emotion that is funneled and channeled, of course, in the right direction. So I think it's really important that we build into our behaviors each and every day some fundamental nurturing of our heart and mind to help us to think big, to help us to get excited, to help us get aligned, to help us stay focused, and to keep us on the right path. So what I would like to suggest is over the course of the coming weeks, I, along with a few others, will put together a selected library of tools that we can listen to, read, or watch for our own personal edification. What I find will be helpful in this process is not just reading for the sake of reading or listening for the sake of listening, but that these tools that we use also become business building tools. I've seen it done many times in the past, and I've also seen it done wrongly as well. Some of us in Niken and many in network marketing sometimes go straight for the kill. And what I mean by that is when we find a new prospect, rather than warming them, what we tend to do is go out and go straight for the sales pitch, invite them to a product presentation or invite them to a business opportunity and ask them to sign up straight away. And if they're not interested, then we keep on looking, or we don't know what to do next. We get stuck. We get troubled. What happens next? The reality is, and I've done that myself. My very first Facebook event that I did, I had lots of cold market leads on my call, was very excited about it, and immediately jumped in to show them links to my personal webpage that they could shop and buy straight away, forgetting the critical principle that we need multiple contacts in order to build the relationship and the rapport in order for someone to lead to making a meaningful decision. So what I have seen that works well is helping people understand, or recognizing first and foremost, that we need to actually change people's paradigms first. Many people don't see the value immediately of owning their own business or being entrepreneurially minded or so on. And so we need to help them see the benefits. How do we do that? Well, maybe they can listen to a podcast we've shared. Maybe they can read a good book that we're just reading. Maybe we have a selection of books or podcasts, a small selection that we deliberately reserve for sharing with our prospects so that we can help them get aligned emotionally and mentally, and then open up their hearts and minds to the concept of business ownership. And in doing that, then we can lead them on to the next step and invite them to a meeting, be it in-home, online, on a webinar, or at a local meeting somewhere. But there is this process that we need to go through of warming them before we warn them of what the opportunity is. So that's kind of the first half. In order to become a core consultant, we need to fill our mind with lots of good stuff so that we can share it. Our attitude is contagious, and it's important that we recognize that emotions are deliberately contagious. So it's important that we can fill our minds with great stuff so that we can share it with others and do that in a way that can have them coming back for more. And we live, fortunately, in a world where there is an abundance of that type of material that we can share with others to help them get excited and to catch the vision of what we have to offer. On the other half of the tree is some critical behaviors that we do to build our business on a daily and weekly basis. Communicate with a mentor. Again, we've been talking about this for some time. We have training on it each week. And of course, we have our own mentors that we're plugged into, that we're working with. Again, I want to reiterate the value of that part of our program. This is something that is really, really important in building our business. One thing that I love about mentoring is that it gives us the chance to get perspective on our experience. I love this process of mentoring, where people phone me up and ask me a question just to get perspective on a situation that may have happened. I had this just yesterday. A great person in Niken. He's not in my downline, but he's a great member of the team. And he was doing some great work in reaching out to other people in his organization, but wasn't necessarily getting the results he was hoping for. Wanted me to get some insight in what he was doing to see if it was the right stuff. Is he doing the right thing but just getting an unexpected result? Or is it the right thing? Or is it the wrong thing getting the wrong result? The benefit of a mentor can help to give us context to our activities and give us guidance and hope, encouragement and support along the way. Really, really important. The last 2 points are equally as important as all these others. Meet with and talk with at least one new person every day. We need to be out there talking on a regular basis and sharing again these insights and these lessons that we're learning, sharing the wealth of wisdom that we're gleaning, and just be out there doing good. Show the plan at least twice a week. And again, we can do that via one of the webinars, or you can do that via a Facebook event, or you can do it via an in-home presentation or a local team meeting, or of course, if there's some big national events, you can jump into them as well. But I love this process. Listen, read, watch, communicate with a mentor, meet and talk with at least one person every day, and show the plan at least twice a week. We've got the resources to do this. And I'm confident as we do this, we can become what we call a core consultant. We protect and nurture our heart and our mind. We get that germ, that seed that we can plant in other people's hearts and really start to prosper and get that duplication happening. Of course, the duplication happens not just with activity, but also with the excitement and the confidence and the passion that can be developed by inspiring our minds and hearts through this personal development element of the business. This is a really important aspect, because what I've learned very quickly in my experience in business is that no matter how practical or pragmatic the process is, if it isn't exciting, if it doesn't engage people's hearts, it becomes irrelevant. We need to make sure that we're continually engaging people's hearts in this process to get duplication happening. I also want to emphasize here this 4-step process for doing a 90-day run. Now, we know that, and it's been said again repeatedly, that we build this business from event to event. So as we work on this, if you look now, there is roughly 90 days between now and the big event that's taking place in San Antonio in October. We could use this practical process now to engage our hearts and minds, to become a core consultant, to run at a wonderful process over the next 90 days to get some results where we can celebrate together in San Antonio. The 4 steps are real simple. We either join the business if we haven't done so already, or join this cause of being a core Nikken consultant, make the commitment. I love the word decide. It's rooted in the Latin word decidere, which means to kill or cut off. When we make a commitment, when we truly decide, we cut off all other options or avenues. We make this a sole course of action. And then we run at it. Let's do this. You can do a minimum of one a day. You can do at least 2 presentations a week. You can do more. But if we just commit to doing these critical activities, fill our minds with inspiration each day, have our morning rituals, as some people refer to them as, do the contacting, do the showing the plan, we will reap the results. Now, in network marketing, we often talk about a 2 to 5 year plan. Why is that? We know that a 2 to 5 year plan, if we do these activities, we do know the results will come. We don't know the timing, of course, because in business, we aren't in control of everything. I've certainly found that myself when I was president of Nikken. If there is suddenly going to be a strike with some of your shipping companies, for example, and they keep all of your product offshore in the ports of LA, there isn't much I have control over with that. If a government introduces a new regulation or rule, all I can do is respond and react. If someone says no to your opportunity, all you can do is invite someone else. We don't know the timing, but we do know the results. And if we do this repeatedly over time, the results do come in. This is why a 90-day run is helpful. It's hard to sprint for 2 to 5 years, but you can manage it for 90 days. And what we can do with this is this 90-day run for being able to celebrate the results at an event gives us a couple of benefits. One, it gives our team a core focus to run together with something meaningful, with a set pattern of behavior, with a core set of books that helps us to inspire our minds with the same words and language so that we're thinking the same way, we're behaving the same way, we're learning the same lessons at the same time. What a great and powerful way to unite our teams, to read the same books, to listen to the same audios, to watch the same webinars. It gets you on the same page super fast, and that is really helpful. But the benefit of this is it gives you a chance to get started, to run, to practice, to evaluate, to re-practice, to run again, and to just do better and develop and develop. The great thing about this as well is it gets us the chance to celebrate together in person at events. You'll notice that there's a big event in San Antonio in October. There's going to be another big event in Salt Lake City in Utah in January. I'm going to put on an event in Orlando in Florida in May. That gives you another 90-day run. And then we'll get this rhythm, this steady pattern of every 90 days, it should be, or thereabouts, a great event that we can plug into. And we can do that nationally, internationally, or locally. But we can get that schedule working for our good here. And that, I think, is something that is really important. Now, I want to conclude with this metaphor of the peach, going just one step further. We've talked today about the importance of being a core consultant, the outer layer of our activity, which is the skin. It touches the surface, but it runs much deeper, the whole business, is the quality enrollment, the flesh, the piece that we want to really reap the rewards of, the juicy bit, the good stuff. That's the results that come from repeatedly doing the Teach 3 to Reach 3. The core at the center of our business, the very nut of the whole thing, is our heart and our mind that we nurture, we protect, and we inspire, and we couple it with simple, fundamental daily activities to nurture it and make sure that it grows and creates new seeds, new fruit, season after season. That's the essential bit. I want to take that metaphor one step forward, and I want to do it in the spirit of us being a Japanese-founded business. We love our heritage. We love our legacy of being a Japanese company with all of that great, rich legacy that it offers. One of the most famous fairy tales in Japan is a story about a boy called Momotaro. Momotaro, being translated from Japanese into English, wonderfully means peach boy. So perhaps it's relevant for today for just a moment. The story of Momotaro is about an elderly couple that were childless. And whilst one day the elderly woman was washing her clothes in the river near her home, in the stream nearby where she lived, she saw this giant peach floating through the stream. It was the biggest peach she'd ever seen in her life. She collected it. She returned home to her husband and thought that they might share that peach together for their evening meal. As they got ready to carve it up, they heard a little child's voice coming from inside of it. And as they opened up the peach, there at the core, at the center of this fruit, was a young boy who they named Momotaro, which is where he gets his name from, being from the peach. And he explained that he'd been sent from heaven to be their son. Well, at the age of about 15, he wanted to give back, to return the good that had been given to him. His parents brought him up wonderfully. They taught him to be good, to be honorable, and to be true. And so he wanted to go out and to give back both to them and to his village. Now, his village had been terrorized and plagued by ogres that lived on an island not too far away called Ogre Island. So he set off with the noble plan to defeat and destroy these ogres that had been terrorizing his village. Keep in mind, he was just a 15-year-old boy. As he wandered off, he came along a number of different animals on his path. The first was a monkey, and then a dog, and then a pheasant. At first, these three creatures would normally be considered enemies. They're certainly not natural friends, but inspired by his cause to rid the village of these terrible ogres, and enticed by his dumplings, which his mother had kindly packed in his case, they joined him on this journey and sought out to kill and destroy these terrible ogres. Well, the conclusion of the story is something quite wonderful. Of course, it's a fairy tale, and they win a wonderful battle against these ogres. They weren't the strongest, of course. The ogres are far stronger than a young teenage boy and a pheasant, a dog and a monkey. But what they did was they applied their own skills and strengths and their intelligence and worked together to defeat these ogres. The pheasant using his great sense of flight and his beak and his claws to peck and pluck out the eyes of the ogres, and the dog jumping on and the monkey jumping on their backs as well. And they all work together to kill these ogres. Now, why do I share this? There's a great moral to this story. All fairy tales have a moral, and this one is without exception full of wonderful messages within it. The first is, when we work together, we can do the seemingly impossible. When we all work together to be core Niken consultants, to fill our minds, to fuel our hearts each day with inspiration, and to share that with others, and to do those core activities, we can do the seemingly impossible. It's reassuring for each of us to know that it isn't brute strength or simply being favored by good fortune that makes sure that you win. The ogres were definitely the strongest in that battle, but Momotaro and the animals used their intelligence and their collective talents and work together to give themselves the upper hand. We can do this ourselves in Niken by uniting together and becoming core consultants. This, again, is the nut of the whole thing. As we listen to the same materials, as we read from the same books, as we watch and participate in the same webinars, as we communicate with our mentors, as we meet and talk with at least one new person a day, and as we show the plan at least twice a week, we can be both excited, invigorated, informed, and inspired, as well as practical, pragmatic, and structured in our business building activities. We need the both to come together in order for us to work. We talk about teach 3 to reach 3. Wouldn't it be great to teach 3 to be 3? Teach 3 to be core. If we could get 3 people in our business that would plug into that process of being inspired and educated, and really use those tools as prospecting tools, as well as tools for personally growing themselves, what a great difference we could make in our businesses. What I love about this personal development process is we can take the wisdom and experience of others, and as we consistently read and apply their teachings, we can put that into our hearts so that their wisdom and knowledge becomes our own. I really, really like this principle. And I think in doing this, we can get the inspiration into our teams and organizations that will really help us to move our businesses forwards. I am really convinced that the Teach 3 to Reach 3 program is inspired. I think it is great. I think it is fantastic. It is pragmatic. It is practical. I love the quality enrollment behavior in getting at least 500 points, going up to 1,500 or even more in retail sales each and every month. The fact that we can do that and get retail profit straight out the gate means that anyone that joins can get retail profit and get money in their pocket straight away. This is fantastic, but we have to couple it with inspiration in order to move our hearts and minds and to protect and nurture them so that we can move forward and really get the duplication happening. Duplication happens when hearts are inspired. This is something that I think is really, really important for us to add to our activities. So as I look at the feedback coming in here, I'm loving this. Thank you so much. I'm loving the notes coming through here. Everyone's saying the core is being in the heart zone. I love that. That's what Dave Johnson's saying here. And again, thank you very much. This feedback is really, really important. So like I said, a number of us are going to get together and put together a library of books. Again, we're not going to sell them to you directly. We'll send you the links so you can get them on Amazon. And you can get them dirt cheap there. We'll give you the links to Apple, to iTunes, where you can listen to the podcasts. We'll put these things together so that we can all work together, listen to the same materials, get excited, and then start to move forward together. The great thing about this is these materials are shareable. We can share them with our prospects. Say, listen to this podcast, listen to this TED Talk, read this book, and if it engages conversation in the follow-up, then you've got someone to do something else with. Well, if you like that, you've really got to listen to this CD or listen to this podcast or read this book. And that's what makes it really helpful. And then as you start to bring them in and they start to get excited, then you bring them to the meeting. Jump onto one of the webinars or the conference calls or the Facebook events. And then you say afterwards, is this something you want to be a part of? Because already by that point, they're starting to get it. They're in that space where paradigms have been shifted. And we can't shift a paradigm in a moment. I'm so grateful, ladies and gentlemen, that I've had this chance, and I have this chance to be in the field and work the business with you. And I've said from the outset, I'm learning as I go here. And I'm doing it deliberately. I want to fall on my face from time to time publicly to let you know the lessons that I'm learning, because I think my lessons are not unique. But the first mistake that I made in my live Facebook event was I invited lots of people to it. I had great attendance, great turnout. It was fantastic. And then I immediately went straight for the sales pitch. Buy this product, join this business. And what I learned from that is you've got to get people's hearts first. Maybe we need to have a few Facebook events where we're just talking about the concept of business ownership, help shift the paradigms, get people listening to some TED Talks or some of these tools so that we can help people know where to go next. And then when they're inspired, then when they're seeing the light, then when they've caught the vision, we can introduce them to one of the webinars, one of the conference calls, do an ABC, introduce them to your mentor. And then all of these tools that we've got in place start to bear real fruit. And that's something that I think is really, really important. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this call. Again, we've had great attendance on it. This is being recorded, as you know. I would encourage you to share it. Get this out to your team so that over the next few weeks, as we get this library put together, people can understand the context behind it so that we can all become core, centered, strong, protected, motivated, inspired, developing, nurturing, duplicating business builders. That's what it's all about. So thank you all very much. If you have any recommendations, of course, for great books or audios that you've enjoyed in the past, please, of course, don't hesitate to share them with me so that we can create a meaningful library. So thank you all very much for being on the call. So glad to have been with you again. And I look forward to speaking to you real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.